This is Dr. Andrew Jones. In this edition of Veterinary Secrets, I'm going to answer the question, should you use essential oils on your dog? Should you be using essential oils on your pets? More specifically, should you be using essential oils on your dogs? There are now more and more studies coming out backing some of its effectiveness, not just sort of this randomized, I think it makes me feel better. For example, there's now studies showing its use for infections, in particular gingivitis, for some of the skin disorders, such as ringworm. Essential oils have now been shown to be helpful for people with cancer, not particularly to treat the cancer, but to help manage the pain and help better regulate their emotions. So they're actually feeling better using them. Some of those essential oils, such as lavender, chamomile, and peppermint. More and more veterinarians are now using essential oils. For some, they're starting out with something just simple, such as lavender, where it's diffused within the waiting room. It's a great way to help calm dogs and cats. Historically, essential oils have been used for thousands of years. More recently, they've come into more popular use starting in the early 1900s, where a French chemist first used lavender essential oil to treat a non-healing burn. Many pet owners ask me about cats, and two things I want to emphasize in this matter. First, cats use a very different system in their liver to detoxify things. So meaning they're much more sensitive to a variety of different medications, and they are more sensitive to the essential oils. You want to be especially cautious and prudent about using them in cats, but they can be used. Today's video though is about dogs and using essential oils on your dogs, and I'm going to show you 3 different oils to use and how you can start using them right now at home. A couple of tips before you start using any essential oils in your dogs. First of all, I want you to dilute them down to 1 to 2% concentration. So what that means is taking the essential oil, so here's one, it's lavender, the concentrated form. So you're going to take that, and I want you to dilute it down, either using something like olive oil, which I have here, as a carrier oil, and that would be something we're going to be applying it topically to your dog, for instance. And I've got one example, we're going to use an essential oil to treat a topical skin infection. So what I've done is pour it in here, so I've got this dropper container, this glass container, and I've poured it in to be a little over half filled up. So it's got about 2 tablespoons or 30 mils of oil. That equates to 1 ounce for those of you who are more comfortable with ounces. So about 1 ounce or about 2 tablespoons of oil in here. And then what I'm having you do is just dilute it down to put in 5 drops. So as you can see there, I put in 5 drops of oil. So when you're putting in 5 drops of oil to about 1 ounce or 2 tablespoons of oil, a carrier oil, that equates to about a 1% dilution. If you double it to 10 drops, you're looking at a 2% dilution. And generally for all of the oils, when they're diluted down to 1 to 2%, 1, they're very safe. 2, at that level, there's virtually no reported side effects. So that's one of the big key principles to keep in mind. 2, just be much more cautious about giving anything orally. And if it is to be given orally, you have to have a good understanding of what you're giving and what oil it is, ensuring that it is going to be safe. 3, be very cautious, and we're using in our very, very older pets or very young animals, such as our puppies. Any animal that's pregnant, I would avoid them. So the first oil, if you're going to use any oil to consider using, is lavender. And that's what it's right here. Let me get a close up, you can see it. It's a wonderful smelling essential oil. It's kind of considered a great one to start with. It's sort of one of that first ones where essential oils became rediscovered again. No question it has a variety of different benefits, but how I'm using it is to help with anxiety. So I have an older cat who has chosen to meow, excessively vocalize at crazy hours throughout the night. It could be 3 o'clock in the morning. So what I've done is start to use lavender oil in a diffuser, so it's a very diluted form. It's slowly diffusing in our living room where she sleeps on the couch, and that's had a wonderful effect in her in terms of having her sleep throughout the night. So that's the diffuser, and you guys probably see the steam rising up, and it's producing a wonderful smell within my office. So to use it, what I've done is fill it up with water. Takes about a cup of water, and all I've done, and I'll show you here by example, so I'm dropping in 5 drops at night. So here's approximately the cup of water. There's 5 drops of lavender. It's as simple as that. And then it's plugged in at night. It diffuses for about 4 hours. It's got 2 different settings. And that's made all the difference. The other big use you could look at using it for would be, you've got a dog, for instance, that's got anxiety. Maybe he's got noise anxiety. Maybe he has separation anxiety. Or he's just especially anxious. You're away from home, especially throughout the day. That alone, if you're going to use anything, first of all, it really can help their anxiety. Secondly, too, is going to make your house have less of a doggy smell. Next essential oil I want to discuss is tea tree or melaleuca. So in particular, and of all the oils you may have heard about, it's probably the one you've heard about. I had many clients in the past use it for a variety of different skin infections, fungal infections on themselves, also then go ahead and apply it on their dogs. So a couple of big things I want to let you know about it. First of all, one, it's a very strong oil. It has a number of documented antibacterial properties. In many cases, it's better to treat. There's a type of bacteria called staph that's actually resistant to a variety of different antibiotics. There's one called MRSA, or methicillin-resistant Staph aureus. And tea tree oil is often effective against it. It's also shown to be very helpful against a variety of fungal infections. For instance, a whole variety of people are using it to treat a specific condition that they'll get affecting their nails that's caused by a fungus. Tea tree is proving to be almost as effective as some pretty powerful conventional treatments. The big reason when I'd be using it on my animals or my dogs, for instance, would be if they've got a related type skin infection. The big one that comes to mind when I really discussed using it was for one called ringworm. So it's a specific fungal infection where you can see like sort of patchy areas of hair loss on your dog. And it can be a pretty hard one to treat. So diluted tea tree would be a great option in that case. So in terms of using it and effectively using it, what it means is, once again, having a dropper bottle such as this. I put in about 30 mils of oil into here. So that's about the 30 mils, and I've used a carrier oil. So what I've used here is the olive oil. And then I've got here I'm just going to show you how to do it. Tea tree is quite a strong odor to it. So it is very much unique. So I've got the 5 drops in there now. But it is very effective again, so it's pretty serious infections. The one big thing about it is that there's been a number of different toxicities, especially when we have clients applying it directly to their cats. And then their cats go ahead and lick themselves. There's been toxicities from as little as 7 direct drops. But generally, and this is referenced from the Pet Poison Helpline, when it's applied in a diluted form at 1 to 2%, there's virtually no reported side effects. But that being said, I want you to always be cautious. I would avoid using it in cats, period. And if I'm going to apply it to my dog, I want to put it in an area or either one he can't lick, for instance, so if he's got a lesion up here in the back of his head, then I'd use it, where I know he can't lick it. Or 2, if it's an area such as on his paw, where he's got some related non-healing skin infection, and I wanted to use diluted tea tree, I would still use it, but then I would be putting something like an e-collar on him, so he couldn't get at it. So here it is here in the diluted form, and as I said, then it's just a matter of taking that 1 or 2% solution. So I put 5 drops, 30 mils, that's about a 1% solution, and just applying it to whatever area that's affected. So the last one I wanted to discuss is a couple of different essential oils that you could be using as a natural insect repellent. And in using them, what I want you to do is have a similar size bottle, but actually have it as a spray bottle, which I have here. This one's a little bit bigger, it's about 50 mils. And what I've done is fill it up, instead of with oil, because I want you to be able to spray this, I've just filled it up with distilled water. And what I've got here It's called Terra Shield, but it's a combination of a number of different essential oils. There's 3 or 4 in particular that have been shown to be very helpful as being insect repellents, so helping to help repel fleas. So in terms of making, the essential oil flea spray, what I'm taking and putting in, so this is 50 mils of distilled water, and I'm going to put in 10 drops. So the 2 big oils I really want you to look for, one is cedarwood oil, great flea repellent essential oil. The second one is catnip oil, are proven to be very helpful as far as being repellent wise. But once again, I've just made a real dilute 1% solution. And then what I'm having you do is just lightly mist your animal. So you're going to lightly mist your dog. So we've got this 1% solution, and we're just going to lightly mist Lewis. So there's sort of the 3 essential oils I'd have you start with. The lavender oil, great one in a diffuser, great one for anxiety. Do tea tree or melaleuca, in particular for those resistant skin infections and fungal infections such as ringworm. And lastly, cedarwood oil, catnip oil, when we're looking at a natural insect repellent. Thank you for watching this edition of Inner Secrets on Essential Oils for your dog. What I want you to do now is first click that link in the box above if you've yet to do so. Then after that, I want you to go ahead and click that link in the box below, and that can sign you up for my upcoming free webinar on essential oils for dogs.